Hello everyone and welcome. Today I have a thundercloud generator for you. You can get it two ways. One from my Gumroad for a small price. You have the full kind of customization set. Number two is you can get it from the Blender universe, which is a plugin you can download for Blender. And it's going to be pretty much an asset library that contains materials, 3D models, geometry node setups, and particle systems that you'll be able to drag and drop into your scene, right? It is growing, it has models and assets from the team members, from community members, and it has a free section, right? So this will be included there. You'll have less customization options and animation options, but you'll be able to try it out very nicely. You'll still be able to drag and drop those clouds, randomize the values, have your thunder clouds, create full kind of skies by duplicating, by changing the seed number, stuff like that, right? And well, you can then decide to get the full version if you want from the Gumroad, or you can get it from the premium section of the Blender universe when that comes out in the near future, right? So that is going to be how to get it. So what can you do with it? Well, I'll just try and tweak some values and you'll see what it can do actually, right? So first option, I will just very quickly show that because we have an EV and a cycles. If I turn this on, it's actually going to turn our mesh, because this is actually a mesh. Yes, this is not an actual volume right now. The volume is made in the shader editor, and that way it is just much quicker to render, it seems like, right? If I turn this on, it will get a bit smoother clouds, right? It will look a bit more like an actual soft cloud in the sky somewhere, right? So you can still use that if you like that, but if you want it to be more quick, you can just turn this off and it will still look quite nice and it's a bit quicker, right? So that depends on the kind of cloud that you're looking for. Now, if you turn this on, you will also be able to use it in Eevee much easier. If I set this to Eevee, you can see it works there as well. And we have the volume options there. So make sure you have volumetric lighting and shadows turned on, okay? Because that will matter a little bit. So let's turn this back to cycles and play around with this. There we go. So I already told you about the seed. This is the randomization of the entire cloud. Sometimes there will not be a cloud because it will either not have a lightning bolt, and well, that is the only source of light in the scene right now. So if there's no lighting, there will be no actual thing that you can see, right? So we can actually turn on the backlight for now. You'll be able to see the actual cloud, but I like this off because it looks nicer. Okay. Next up, there is something that builds this system, and it's an actual cube, right? So there's a cube that scatters the clouds within there, right? So this is the cloud distribution area. If I turn, for example, the X and the Y up to 20, we're going to get a larger area that is actually going to be distributing our clouds. Alright, so if I turn this to 30, you'll be able to see it's getting much larger. And if I just crank this up more and more, it's eventually going to fill up the entire screen pretty much, right? So you can create entire skies with this. If I go to rendered view now, you can see it's getting a little bit slower, of course, because it has to work with more volumes. But you can see that you're actually able to create fully working skies with this, right? And fully working thunder storms, pretty much, right? So now you have a full cloud, but your density may be too much. So we can crank down this density of clouds, and there will be less clouds being scattered in here. It will also make it a bit faster, and you can see that we're actually getting less and less clouds, and you can really customize the way this looks. Nice. Now, another one that I want to showcase is the resolution, right? Because the resolution is important, because if we go to solid view, we have a mesh. If I crank this down to 12, the resolution will be much lower. If I now go to rendered view, you can see that the clouds look a little bit less detailed as well, right? You can basically tell the edge shape there. But if I just crank this back up, let's even try 128, we have got much more detail in those actual clouds, right? So I think 52 works quite nice in general. Now we have a cloud radius. We can make it much smaller. Let's see. Our clouds will become smaller, right? That's basically what it does. We can also set it to 5. Our clouds will become much thicker. Up to you completely. Now, the cloud scale is something I enjoy working with a lot, because if you want more kind of compressed looking clouds, more thin clouds, you can just set this value to 2.5, and you can see that we now get much thinner clouds. If you like thicker clouds, just set this value to 4, and they'll be much well, thicker in the Z-axis pretty much, right? So you can just try that out and see how it looks for yourself. Quite nice. Beautiful. Now, the frequency and stuff like that, if you have the paid version, either from Gumroad or from the premium section later within the Blender universe, you'll be able to have actual animated lightning. So let me crank up the lightning thickness for a sec so we can see what is going on. Right, so we have lightning that appears, disappears, and it works quite nice, right? So that is something we can change, the quickness of the lightning. If you think it's too quick, we can just crank the flickering down to 0 and the frequency to lower levels as well, like 0.2. And you'll be able to see that it now stays longer and disappears less quickly, pretty much, right? You'll see that because we cranked up the values of the thickness, those branches look a little bit too thick, but we are always working with low values pretty much. So 0.001, and then you won't see that at all, right? So don't worry about that, I guess. So that is something that is animated. You won't have to add any keyframes. You won't have to do any manual stuff. Just play your scene and your lightning will be working and will be animated quite nicely, right? It's very thick now. Beautiful. So yeah, work with the frequency, the flickering as well. The flickering is basically sometimes you have lightning that appears in real life and it will disappear for a sec and it will come back to the same place. So the flickering will basically just do that effect a little bit more. Lightning density, if you feel like there's too much, just crank the density down a little bit. 0.2, we only have one lightning now. Set this to like 10 and we will have, oh, that's the frequency. The density, set this to 10 and your entire cloud will be filled up. Right, so find the value that you like, pretty much. Okay, so that is beautiful. We can now also work the other values now that we have some lightning, right? So for example, if we want the resolution to be lower, right? If you want this to be a single line, just set the resolution to 2 or something. You'll have straight lines. I'm not sure why, but it can happen, right? Furthermore, we can change the length to be longer, like 20. It will actually get to the ground more. And we can tweak, for example, the noise scale. If you want more noise, set this to 2. Increase the strength to 15. And you'll see that it's getting more and more chaotic, right? So you can now just tweak the resolution a little bit as well to 75. And you can see what happens, right? Maybe even 250. Change the noise scale to 0.6. And the strength to even stronger, 20. There we go. So now it's more of a chaotic kind of lightning. Change the density to 0.2, 0.1. Let's see what works. 0.05. Let's see. 0.05 then, I guess. And we can just change the flickering a little bit. So if you have no flickering, there will be more lightning as well, I guess. So we can change the flickering to just tweak that a little bit, right? Quite easy. Now I'm going to go through a rendered view, crank back down my thickness to 0.001. Here we go. And immediately looks much better. And now we can change, for example, the lengths of the lightnings. I already did that, but we also have the branching probability, which is going to mean how many of those sub branches of the lightning there are going to be. Like every point of the lightning has a probability of creating a little branch lightning. Right, so if we create a larger probability, we will have more of those sub-branches and basically more more branching lightning, right? So that's up to you as well. The branching length, of course, important too, because if we crank this up to 30, our branches of the lightning are going to be much, much longer. You can see one here shooting out. Beautiful, right? Then the last one is going to be the hit light. Right, so you can see that the endpoints of the lightning actually create some kind of a reflection, some kind of a light point at the bottom, right? You can see it in the floor plane. And if we turn this off, it's going to be disappearing, right? So we will only get the light from within the clouds. So I actually like that there is some kind of a extra lighting there at the bottom to show the energy of impact, I guess, right? So that is why I will increase the hit light, or sorry, enable that. And you can control the lights, the one in the clouds and the one on the ground, the hit light, with those values. So we have the lightning light. That is going to be a power value and the hit light as well. So you can create those to be stronger and to be less strong with a lot of ease. Okay, so that is pretty much it. So let me just walk through the materials really quickly. We have a cloud generator, amazing material created by Paco Salas, right? So this one is free and it works so well. It has so many customization options. If I go to the shader and select my cloud, we can see that we have all kinds of values. So I already explained the density a bit. We can tweak this to be lower and higher, and it will basically mean that we will get more thick or less thick clouds, right? So this looks way more thick, but we get more of those hard edges. So I'm guessing there's a value in between 0.3 and 0.4 that usually works quite well. Now, the one that I like a lot as well is the glowing level. So if I turn this up to 1, our entire cloud will glow a lot more and look even more like it's being lit up by lightning, right? So this looks quite nice, and it's all added in this one single shader. Brightness as well, you can tweak all these values to be exactly what you want it to be. I already tweaked some of these to fit what I was looking for, but the glowing level is definitely one you should check out, right? So if you want less lit up areas and more dark areas, then I would assume you'd have to turn this down. Right, so if I turn this all the way up to 1, then we'll have much more light glow. Actually looks quite interesting, so I'm gonna keep that. So this is it. We can change the colors. Red lightning, beautiful. Change the hit light colors, red. Everything will be red. We basically get the Stranger Things kind of look from the lightning. Let me actually crank up the radius just a little bit, 0.005 maybe. That way we can see it a bit more. All right, something like that. And yeah, scatter it around, create different seeds. And you can see sometimes we won't have any lightning. I already told that. And then our scene will be black until we actually add a backlight. Right, so if you add a backlight and give that the same little color, you can see that we actually do have a large cloud there. But it's just less visible because, well, if we don't have any lightning, there will be no lights. Right, so now we can just tweak those values, change the seed. There we go, we get different clouds every single time, and it fills up the scene quite nicely. Right, make it smaller, make it bigger, make it thinner. Everything works quite nicely, right? So have fun with it. I'd recommend trying out the free version within the Blender universe first. And if you like it, then you can switch to the premium. If you think it is enough to have the limited version, just go with that as well. You can use it for anything at all. And that is it. If you liked it, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. I would love any one of those. We have a Discord channel for the Blender universe where we all chat, where we help each other. We even give tutorials, right? So we take suggestions. We have a lot of fun in there. We have planned movie nights, all stuff like that. You can join. You're welcome to join. We would love it. So I will link that down below as well. And then I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye bye.